Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Fumi and I bring to you another dose of motivational talks and encouragement. And today I bring to you a more practical topic, and that is teaching children obedience. And I mean, this is specifically, obviously, for people that have children or words or people that are guardians and have little ones in their custody. So I went to the store a short while ago and I experienced something, and I just want to talk about that briefly. I mean, as part of the last minute Christmas shopping and all that, I went to the store, I went to Burlington actually. I was trying to pick up a couple of items, and I came across a scenario, and it was so amazing to me. I was so shocked, and so I just want to talk about this today. And I'd like to know what people's views are concerning this. Maybe I'm an extremist, I don't know. Maybe I'm just too strict, or maybe I'm just too traditional. So what happened, I was done with my shopping. I was trying to go to the till to pay, and I came across this little girl, her dad, and her parents. They were like it was like a clothing aisle, and so I guess they were probably trying to buy the child a Christmas dress or something. So for some reason, I found a piece of hanger on the floor, and I heard the child's father telling the child to pick the hanger up. And I guess like approximately the child will probably be maybe roughly like 7 years or like 8 years. It was like a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old girl. And the child refused. The father said, pick up the hanger. He said it like twice, and the child just plainly refused. She just did not answer. She did not respond. I kind of paused. I was supposed to be minding my business. I could not mind my business because I was trying to imagine what would have happened to that child if he was back in my area where I came from. I mean, that child would have heard the story of her life. Or I mean, something would have happened to that child. I don't know what it is, but something would have happened to that child. Just kidding. So the father told the child to pick up a hanger. Like he said it twice. But the child basically ignored the father. Eventually, I kept walking and I looked back and I saw that the mother actually picked up the hanger. I was like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. This is unacceptable behavior. You have a 7-year-old child that cannot listen or cannot obey you. I mean, I'm not judging the parents. I don't know what their discipline standards are. I don't know what their parenting style is. It's not my call to decide or judge them. I'm just putting this out there. Like, what would make a 7-year-old child, disobey her father blatantly just like that? And, you know, peradventure, that is kind of normal with children. Children will always be children. Sometimes they just want to test the limits. Sometimes they just want to push their limits and see what you would do, because they're just kids. That's what they do. But I mean, this is where our role come in as parents. Like, you need to step in as that parent. I mean, just like I said, if he was back from my area where I came from, I know what would have happened to that child. I don't need a prophet to tell me what would have happened to that child. But of course, things have changed. Life has changed. We're in a different place. We're in the Western world, and things are a little bit different. We do things a little bit different around here. And so I kind of want to know, like, want to pass across to you, or just want to share, like, how do you deal with disciplining your kids? How do you deal with disciplining your children while you're showing them love? At the same time, you're kind of maintaining a balance of lovingly disciplining them, and at the same time helping them to develop as responsible citizens of a society. So one of the things that came to my mind, because I was just thinking about how can we teach children, like there is no manual about parenting. I'm new in this parenting game myself, but there are some things I know. There are some things I'm learning each day. People tell you all sort of scary things. People will tell you, you have not raised a kid in America, you have not raised a teenager in America. What are you doing? You're not even a parent yet. Or people say things like, oh, you don't even have a teenager. You have not raised a teenager. You think you're a good parent. Just wait. Things like that are not very, number one, they're not very encouraging to young parents like us. That's number one. And number two, the fact that you had it hard, or the fact that it was difficult, or the fact that things were not exactly smooth for you as a parent, does not mean that is going to be everybody's portion in life. Number one, you might have gone through that experience to be able to help other people, upcoming parents, so that they do not go through the same thing you've gone through, rather than you passing across doom to them that, oh, just wait. Wait till you raise a teenager in America, or things like that. No, that is not helpful. So since we are reading, or since we are kind of going through parenting ourselves and trying to navigate this whole parenting thing, and we're trying to figure things out, then I think we might just as well figure it out properly. Like, I like to be very logical. Like, okay, I know that the way my parents raised me, I cannot afford to raise a child like that in America. It's different, It is going to be a different ball game entirely. So some of the things I kind of came across about how to raise a child, how to help a child develop, how to help to raise an obedient child. How can you do that? Number one is learn to teach that child the value of no. Like, when you say no, let your no be no. You don't say no and then your actions are speaking yes. When you say no, emphatically mean that no. Even if it is paining you, feel like, oh, you're feeling deep inside, you're feeling like a terrible mother, you're feeling like a terrible father because you've told your child no. Stick with it, because you're proving up, you're teaching that child something. You're teaching that child the value of no. That no means no. This, you want this? No. And then you help that child see reason why you're saying no, and then gradually over time the child understands the value of no. Number two thing I feel we can do to help raise disciplined children is to model good behavior to them, model obedience to them. Like, you think these children don't see things? They're like sponges, and they're absorbing everything around them. They're absorbing the relationship between you and your husband. They're absorbing the relationship between you and your wife. They're absorbing the dynamics of your relationship, whether you people treat each other with disrespect, you people disrespect each other, whether you people whether you kind of disobey your husband as a wife or something, or you just. So what I'm trying to say in essence is that model good behavior to these children, because they are studying you, they are watching you, they're patterning their lives after your behavior. You cannot say, do as I say, don't do as I do. No, that is ridiculous. You have to mean what you say and know what you're doing, because your kids are watching what you're doing and they're going to emulate their lives after yourself. They're going to they're going to pattern their lives after your role model, like, or after you as their role model. So you need to be a good role model to these kids. Teach them how to behave well. Teach them to do the right thing. So there's something else I kind of came across, that you can help children to learn to be obedient, and that is by sometimes putting within their reach off-limit items, just because you want to have a teaching moment to be able to tell them that is not what to do. Like, for example, I tell my child all the time, I don't want to see you near sockets. I don't want to see you near because I see, like, this child is 5 years old. He wants to, like, he loves his iPad so much. He wants to plug it and make sure it's charged and all that. And I keep telling him, no, deliberately, I hide the hybrid many times. Sometimes, somehow, he finds it. And when he finds it, of course, it's dead. I didn't charge. Most of the times I don't charge it. If tries to charge it, and I try to tell him many times, don't go near sockets, don't go near chargers. I don't want to see you near chargers, sockets, and stuff. Sometimes you have to put these off-limit items within their reach, because you're trying to bring about a teaching moment to help them learn obedience. I think maybe this is like an extreme, but this is something else you can do. Basically, just help your children, teach them the right things to do, model good behavior to them, and pray for them. Most importantly, I think that is the most important thing. No parent is perfect. We don't know how our kids will turn out, but we know that we will do our best, and we pray that God will help them to turn out right. That's the best we can do. All right, people, till when next I come your way, I want you to stay lifted, because indeed life is beautiful. All right, people, have a good one.